Republicans seem to be responding one of two ways to a massive Politico report exposing racist and anti-Semitic texts sent by young Republican groups. On one hand, you have the New York Republican Party voting yesterday to disband their state's young Republican group. On the other hand, you've got the vice president, J.D. Vance. Watch this.
Grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. Kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives.
Joining us now, one of the reporters behind that Politico report, Emily No, and former New York Congressman Jamal Bowman is back with us. So, Emily, let's just kind of pick up on where things have been since the reporting. We'll get into how they've been responding to it and whether or not these people are kids or not, because that's a whole different ballgame. But just give me a sense of where the reporting has been since this news broke and how everything has been playing out.
Sure. The fallout has been pretty vast. It's reverberated nationwide. In addition to the New York Young Republicans being disbanded yesterday, the Kansas Young Republicans were as well. So that whole sort of way of fostering leadership and introducing younger Republicans to the upper echelons of what it would be like to lead the party, that's under scrutiny right now. We have at least 7 members of that 12-person chat out of their jobs, and these were folks in positions of power and influence, top aides to the Senate Minority Leader in New York, comms person to the Attorney General in Kansas, a sitting state senator in Vermont who is set to resign on Monday. So it's reverberated pretty widely.
Yeah.
Jamal, I want to ask you, we have this, can we pull that graphic back up of the faces and the ages and names of some of these folks? As Eamon just pointed out, the vice president called them kids. I'm seeing 31, 27, 29, 24, 28. I know there's a 35-year-old in there somewhere. Are those kids? Are those children?
Yeah, children as young as 2 years old learn not to conduct themselves in this manner, not to engage in hate. So J.D. Vance is just excusing deplorable, despicable behavior as he has done before. Like, this is not new coming from J.D. Vance. You know, for me, seeing the story and glancing at a few of the text messages, because I didn't want to read them because I try to protect my sanity. This is not, it's not just the GOP. This is America, right? And it's unfortunately, we heard the quiet part out loud through the text messages. And this is why, as an educator and as a member of Congress, and even now, I really want us to deal with the racism and the sexism and the anti-Semitism in our country in a real way, through education, through community, through talking about it and dealing with it, because that's ignorance, that's hate, it's nonsense, and it's dangerous. And so it's dangerous not just in terms of physically dangerous towards other people, but those people and their family and friends are in positions where they could make decisions that impact others that can lead to danger, locally and nationally. And so I just want to, for once, deal with the issue directly and go through the reckoning we need as a nation.
So you have J.D. Vance on the one hand saying, oh, these little children, they knew no better. And then you have actual resignations. I know, right? It's just like, you have actual resignations, and there are consequences for this horrible rhetoric. So what does it say when there's that big of a divide between the accountability that's demanded at the local level and the vice president of the United States, who's just dismissing this as all shucks?
And you can bet we're going to be watching pretty carefully to see if anyone's rhetoric and their condemnation, if they condemned it immediately, sort of shift or creep toward Vance. He's given a lot of people cover and permission to sort of be like, yeah, this was bad, but what are the Democrats doing? Yeah, this was bad, but, that's worse over here. Look over here. And I think that's the way that this is trending under Vance's leadership. And this is the vice president of the United States. It's not just anyone excusing this behavior. And these comments, I read 2,900 pages of them with Jason Lieberman. No, and it wasn't just a couple of gay slurs. Not that that's excusable at all. I mean, I love Hitler. Anyone who votes no is going to the gas chamber. Jokes about subjecting your political enemies to sexual assaults. Very few minority groups were spared from these slurs that I couldn't believe kids or anyone else could be saying.
So, Jamal, what do you think this says about why people go into politics today? I think historically the optimistic, maybe utopian interpretation, the Mr. Smith goes to Washington interpretation of why people go into a political career is to help people. I feel like one of the messages we get from leaked conversations like this, among other things we've heard at the national level and local level, is people going into politics because they want to punish their enemies or those that they think are beneath them. Is that a more common sentiment today, or am I just too nostalgic for a false past?
No, I would like to think those people who go into politics to punish their enemies are still the minority. I would like to think that. I think that's the case, even though Trump was elected twice, as we spoke about in the last segment. I think they're still the minority. I think, again, it's an education issue. It's an isolation issue. It's a white supremacy issue. And also, talking about J.D. Vance, J.D. Vance said out loud to a room full of people that college professors are a problem in our country. And him and Stephen Miller have a list of college professors that are on their enemies list. So they're anti-education. And when you're anti-education, that means you're pro-incompetence and ignorance leads to hate and this sort of thing. And the majority who have concentrated power can wield that over people who are miseducated. So again, we have to build community. We have to educate. We have to be honest about who we are and what this is, because racism is a democratic problem too. It just sometimes takes on a different, it's not the I love Hitler hate and anti-Semitism, but it's policies that harm certain communities over time. And so, again, America needs a process of truth and reconciliation that I wish Congress would lead on at some point.
Emily, can I ask you how, as a reporter who's covered these issues for a long time and broke this, how you make sense of an administration kind of putting forward the line that the vice president has, while at the same time we see, for example, DHS from its public accounts, kind of supporting federal agents who have tackled American teenagers to the ground in Chicago in recent days, treated them as though they are, threatening adults who should be held accountable for their actions at a protest. In some cases, the community disputing what those actions even are in the first place, but even assuming that they've done some of the things the government is accusing them of doing. How can we say, on the one hand, teenagers are, should be violently tackled to the ground, but also say that adults are not responsible for the language they share in a group
I think
chat?
anyone would look at that contrast and think it clearly matters what color their skin is. Yeah. It's just a terrible reality to adjust to. But our investigation delved not just into the chat itself, but the fact that it's not happening in a vacuum. So beyond Vance, we have the press secretary of the White House say the other day that Democrats at large are terrorists and lovers of illegal aliens. I mean, this is coming from very high up in the administration, and it's going to mirror language lower down in the party. Just to look at the spread of the landscape around us, it's very distressing.
Really quick, and I probably know what the answer is. When you contacted these individuals for comment, was there remorse, or was it, oh, damn, I got caught?
There was remorse. I think they knew right off the bat that it was bad and that the leak would end their careers, at least for time being. They do apologize, but they have also questioned the authenticity and the motives behind it.
I think I really like that you said for the time being, because I think that's very telling in modern Republican politics, that as we have seen time and time again, there's always a way of a resurrection in some sorts.